Over the years, League of Legends has seen many different champions who are quite difficult for Riot to balance. We all know the nightmares of facing a good Morgana when she's strong, where your CC is never able to land. We all know what it's like to play against an Anivia who permanently pushes the wave, clears it all the time with her ultimate and a blue buff, stalls out the game, and eventually outscales everybody. Everyone dislikes playing against a really good Udyr player who invades all the time, plays very aggressive, ganks every lane, and is legendary at 8 minutes. However, typically these aren't the champions that you're seeing tons and tons of pro play with, nor are the champions that people hate so much that they make incredibly long Reddit posts about. Today, let's talk about why Riot fails so hard at balancing champions with really high skill caps, such as Akali, Ryze, or Sylas. But do you want to see huge improvements to your rank? Then I want you to click the link in the description below and check out ProGuides.com. With our Pro Pass, you get exclusive benefits to pro courses, and for a limited time only, you can get it bundled with our Teamfight Tactics Pro Pass. On top of that, we have a new feature called InstaPro, which provides unlimited 24/7 on-demand coaching from the best of the best. Over 100,000 gamers have used InstaPro today and ranked up significantly because of it, so don't miss out on this opportunity and rank up now using the link below. To start off, Riot likes adding champions that break the stereotype with a unique or new kit. Therefore, the idea may be inherently hard to balance, or they're hard to balance around the rest of the game, such as low skill cap champions like Annie, Maokai, you get the idea. Sylas may never be balanced, and that's because he has a massive gimmick on his ultimate. Either his basic abilities are garbage, and the only good thing that he has is his ultimate stealing, which would make him a terrible champion. Or the other option would be that because he doesn't really have an ultimate, he has to then have really OP basic abilities, making his sustain, shielding, and damage obnoxious. The other issue is that if you make a champion who is really hard to play, kinda like Azir, equally as powerful as a champion who is very simple to play, like Annie, you run into a big problem. There would never really be a reason to pick Azir if Annie is easier to execute. And that's the key part of all of this, execution. If you've ever wondered why Syndra is so darn good in LCS and pro games, it's because the execution on her ultimate is so easy. You just press R. This does not mean that Syndra is the single most broken, overpowered, busted champion in the game. But without a doubt, a big reason why she is strong at times is because the execution of her damage output is very simple. There are some champions that have a harder time dealing their damage. The best examples here would be a champion like Lucian. Lucian is entirely balanced around the fact that he has low range. He's a spellcasting ADC that deals his damage up close and needs to snowball. For Lucian, it's ideal and he wants to be so far ahead out of laning phase, that way you're not punished for having shorter range. This is exactly why you do get outscaled by the likes of Jinx and Twitch, because it's literally easier to play those champions late game, and it is easier to deal damage as Jinx 40 minutes into the game once you have a hurricane, a rapid fire cannon, and you just spam your rockets. Your DPS is just generally speaking more simple to get off. In theory, the pros will and would play very easy champions if they were, in their mind, as powerful as some of the high skill cap champions. Pros do play tanks when tanks are good. They might hate doing it, but every pro player becomes a Maokai abuser when he's good in the meta. He does everything you need for your team comp, and it's really difficult to mess up your Maokai mechanics. There was a time last year in Season 8 after Volibear got buffed that he did see competitive play. The Golden Guardians, who were one of the worst teams during the spring split in 2018, had Contracts whip out the Volibear jungle and beat Echo Fox, who at the time was the best team in the league with a 10-2 record. Pros will play these simple champions if they are strong because of how easy their execution is. Volibear just ganks with his Predator. This becomes an ever-present issue of balancing the game and champions around lower skill players into higher skill players, or even solo queue versus competitive play. The best players know that when played to perfection, champions like Akali are the best and most broken champs in the game. Even if their execution is hard, that's not really an excuse for a professional. I can't really think of a bigger discrepancy right now in a champion than with this Ren stacking blue girl, Calista. Calista is a champion that has proven nearly impossible to get right, and this is a Riot Certainly T champion, so you know that this is going to be a nightmare. Riot Certainly T is responsible for a lot of League's problematic champions, and this one is no different. She has proven season in and season out to be a complete joke. She is quite literally a dead champion in solo queue, and nobody except for Calista and Thresh duo queue smurfs really play her, along with the occasional pro player practicing it in solo queue. She is abysmal to play, gets outscaled incredibly hard, is really buggy, your support will always mess up the Calista ultimate in bronze, and her passive reducing her damage on auto attacks means that if the enemy team stacks ninja tabbies, her autos become paper. But here's the funniest thing. You know why buffing her is scary? You know why they can't do it? Because I just spoke some crap about Calista for 30 seconds and why she's dumpster tier and doesn't even make it to F tier on our ProGuides tier list, yet she's still picked in competitive play to this day. Seriously. And the only ounce of credit I will give to the champion is that with the introduction of Hail of Blades as a keystone, she sometimes feels somewhat, maybe a little bit okay at times. The problem is that the single best Calista players on the planet turn her into a kiting monster, while having amazing objective control with her rend, and one of the best laning phases for an ADC. Her synergy with Thresh is also quite nutty, so when you have a good Calista and a Mad Life on Thresh, they become an unstoppable duo. She's been gutted multiple ways, multiple different times, and will likely need a full rework sometime in the future because her two gimmicks, which are her passive jumping and her Oathsworn, are just going to be impossible to balance. Other champions such as Akali and Ryze, time in and time out fail to be properly balanced because some of the concepts they have might just be impossible to do correctly. Every champion has a theme, an identity. Annie is a fire-based burst mage, Lux is a light-based burst mage, Caitlyn is a high-range poke and DPS ADC who uses a sniper rifle. Ryze, at his core, is a machine gun mana-based mage who's kind of an off-tank. Okay, got it. But what if this concept is broken? Seriously, what if Riot's idea for this champion is flawed? I kinda believe that it is. Either Ryze does no damage and is too easy to camp and set behind early because he has no mobility in short range, or Ryze is crazy broken in a side lane as a split pusher and gets to his late game. He becomes really tanky, he has AoE, a point and click route, wave clear, movement speed, and is able to kite his opponents all the way across the rift, similar to how Cassiopeia is also kinda like a kiting mage. Akali, on the other hand, has two core problems that are turning out to be a joke for the community and for Riot. Firstly, I think Shroud is relatively obvious here. This ability is just unfun to play against, and is either useless if it's nerfed, or really oppressive and removes too many weaknesses from her kit. There isn't much of a gray area with this ability, it's kind of just black and white, and that's why they have to continue to gut it. Remove the tower aggro dropping, remove the true stealth. You guys know what I'm talking about. The other thing about Akali is that she does assassin levels of burst and can assassinate backline threats, but honestly, her kit plays out kinda like a bruiser. She doesn't really go in and then go out like a Zed. She can actually stay in there and fight, and she acts like a diver. She has enough survivability and tankiness with building Gunblade, and Azanya's has AoE with her Q, heals enough, and she even has her Shroud. Obviously, she has quite insane mobility comparable to other divers like Riven and Yasuo, and the fact that she has even a little bit of CC with her ultimate means that she has a similar enough play pattern to a bruiser. This was definitely worse when her Q still had its healing when above 180 energy and a lower cooldown on her W, but I still see her core problem as an identity crisis. She plays too similar to a bruiser while being an assassin. Finally, let's talk about Jace. The NA Jace meme has been around for a while, talking about NA Jace players being terrible and not good enough to abuse him to his full potential. My counterpoint to that would be that it's more like entire world Jace, except for maybe about 10 pro players such as Khan. When played to absolute perfection, Jace is unstoppable and unbeatable. He has everything and is crazy overloaded. Jace has the issue of being a bruiser and a lane bully that also has poke. The original concept and idea for Jace is really cool. It's a champion that gets to make the choice between building more like a bruiser and having items like Black Cleaver, Blade of the Ruin King, even a Trinity Force, using your hammer form a lot and getting in the fight. Or, if you wanted to, you could play him like a poke mage who builds AD, uses his shock blast, and actually plays him as a ranged champion. His original design and idea was to allow the player to make that choice. They get to play the Jace that they want to play. However, here's the thing. Over time, players started to learn and understand that the best way to play Jace is to abuse the heck out of the empowered shock blast with your acceleration gate and just build full lethality. There really just isn't enough counterplay to getting poked out by Qs during the mid game, and because he's also unbeatable in the laning phase due to him auto-winning every single melee matchup, he's always been a nightmare. Diamond top laners picking up Jace for the first time still make him seem terrible compared to Challenger Jace 1-tricks, who can hit rank 1 and cause him to be nerfed and played in pro play. Lastly, one more problem with all three of these champions, Jace, Akali, and Ryze, is that they're able to be flex picks, making them placed on even higher value in competitive games. Flex picks are champions that can go in multiple roles, and because Jace, Akali, and Ryze can easily swap all the time between mid and top lane, it makes it very tough to draft against. The idea is that both your mid and top laner could play Akali very well. An example would be T1 with Khan and Faker. Then first picking Akali for T1 also means that the opponent, no matter what, will never be able to tell where that Akali pick is going until the very end of champ select. All of these really are the main issue, and at their core, if a champion is hard to play and isn't absolutely broken and OP when played by the best of the best players, then in some ways you have to ask yourself, why would anyone play them? Why would they play Azir when they can, in theory, just play Annie for better and easier results? League of Legends has plenty of champions that are doomed to have sub 50% win rates for their entire life. It will be unlikely that anytime soon Akali will have anywhere near the win rate of Garen, even when Garen sees no pro play and Akali is permabanned. But that doesn't mean that Garen is useless. One great thing about easy champions is that they help you learn a lot more about the game. When you're forced to eliminate a lot of variables, especially the idea of mechanics or combos, you bring League down to its roots and its core gameplay. You start to get better at the game. These more simple champions help you learn the game and the role that you're playing, while also helping you get that freelo. So the next time that you see that the pros are spamming Azir, maybe you can try it, but if it doesn't work out for you, there's always an Annie main inside you waiting to be unleashed. But if you want to unleash your full potential, make sure you check out ProGuides.com. Our feature called InstaPro is the best way to get great coaching for League of Legends. It's all inclusive, and our coaches can play games with you, watch replays, and give you one-on-one personal advice. That way you get better today. So click the link in the description down below to get better instantly using ProGuides. Anyway, thanks for watching.